Good day, everybody. It's meteorologist Mark Muller. Thank you for joining me for this edition of Weather Eastern. This is a big winter weather coverage session that we're going to go through here. We're going to go through a lot of changes that are taking effect. This is turning into, especially across the central portion of my forecast area, this is turning into more of an ice and a sleet event more than a snow event, and that's occurring in a lot of different areas. Flood events and even a tornado outbreak in the southeast as well. So this is quite an interesting situation going on here. Without wasting any more time, let's just dive right into it. Let's take a look. We'll break the models down and show you what I think is going to happen here. All right, so taking a look at the winter storm confidence scale, we're going to start off with this because this will give us an idea of the area that we're going to watch for heavy snow, sleet, and freezing rain. And I think it's in this area, definitely starting off with a 3 to 4 here and moderate to high-end range here across much of eastern Kansas, heading on into northern part of Missouri, up towards Chicago, and then just north of Detroit here. And this area will expand. I'll probably be expanding the area of red northeast here into parts of southeast Canada as this area will become more confident. At this point, it's going to be very close here because I'm going to show you the models. The GFS and the Euro models differ quite a bit with the positioning of this heavier snow, and I'll show you which one I think is going to probably win out here. But there it is. It's going to be sharp cutoff to the northwest here. All right, starting off with the GFS, we're going to take a look at snowfall here, cutting right to the chase to the wintry side of the system because it is winter. That's what we're talking about first before we get to the severe weather and the major wind that we're going to deal with the system too. Take a look at the GFS, really honing in on, in fact, you know what? Let's zoom in a bit here. So let's go into the regional view here, and we'll start off with the Midwest here. So taking a look at the Midwest, we spread this snowfall total. Take a look at some of these snowfall totals with the GFS. We are looking upwards of about a foot here, according to the GFS, near Kansas City, anywhere around a foot. And there's Chicago, Illinois, right around 6-8 inches. Locally higher just south of Chicago. Look at that, upwards of 12, 13, 14 inches. Detroit, now this is interesting. The GFS is showing about 10 inches. And so we go a little bit here towards the northeast. And for the most part, the northeast is going to come out unscathed. We're going to have to watch northern Maine here. And then potentially the St. Lawrence River Valley here in New York State and northern Vermont. But I think most of these higher totals will stay just to your north. It is going to be close, though. Take a look at that. Is this low bombs to 985 millibars, which I'll show you momentarily on the surface map. We're going to see upwards of a foot to maybe a foot and a half here. Some of these totals, wow, look at that, 35 inches here, just over the border of Maine. But that's going to be really interesting to take a look here. And then just northwest of Niagara Falls here, we're getting pretty quickly here into Toronto, into about a foot of snow, especially on the backside of the storm here. So if we take a look, GFS or this Euro high resolution snowfall here, let's put this into motion. It is interesting that the Euro has been trending a little bit farther to the south here, so that is some interesting news. It is bringing 6 inches into Detroit. Look at that, 6 inches into Niagara Falls. 10 inches right around the St. Lawrence Valley, and then northern Maine as well. So we'll have to watch this, especially on the backside as this low pressure moves to the northeast and then brings back down that cold air on the backside of this system. So we could be looking at some very impressive totals here, 10, 15 inches total here, according to the Euro. And then we head back towards the Midwest here. Let's see what the Euro is showing. This is interesting. This Euro is showing a little bit southward shift here in the snowfall totals. So very interesting here, taking into account what the Euro has shown here, 6 inches. And then look at that. Euro's bringing those heavier snow totals so far south here that Chicago, Illinois doesn't get too much in on it here, and even does Kansas City. So this is interesting. We'll have to see if this trend continues here. All right, let's take a look. We're starting off here with the GFS. Well, this is what we have going on here with the surface maps. We're going to start off here with your overnight Tuesday night into Wednesday. Here is that low pressure system. You see nothing really has started at the moment here, heading on into Tuesday night, but here's that low pressure here right around Colorado and New Mexico area, and you start to see this northern stream system as well, bringing some rain showers this far north into the overnight hours, heading on into the early morning hours of Wednesday. So we'll be warming it up very quickly here. You see the energy forming here in the southern plains, that pretty well solidifying. And look at this. By later in the day on Wednesday into Thursday morning here, look at this. We really start to get this explosive low pressure here on the GFS. This low up here in the northeast is pretty much dragging this cold front through. But at this point, this is the main low. We got this cold high to the north, and that's what's going to set us up for this big snowstorm here across the Midwest and parts of the Central Plains here. So if we put this into motion throughout the day on Thursday, look at this. Very, very small area of snow, but it's very intense if you notice. And we got mixed precipitation right in the middle, so we'll have that threat of sleet and freezing rain across northern and central Missouri here into parts of central Illinois, and eventually up here into parts of northern Indiana and Michigan as well. And if we continue to put this into motion, there is that low pressure really blowing up here, bringing Chicago a pretty good snowstorm here and the northern suburbs of Detroit. But then we get into mixed and heavy mixed precipitation at that here across northern Indiana, northwestern Ohio. But for most of Ohio, it is going to be a rain event. You see this right here on the southern stream branch of the system. That is where some strong thunderstorms will be shaping up. Now, if I back this up, you can see the evolution of this. Strong thunderstorms during the morning hours of Thursday, and that progresses eastward towards the Mississippi River midday Thursday, and then we might get some thunderstorms all the way up into Ohio and western Pennsylvania here. So that is interesting, and if we put this into motion for overnight Thursday night, low pressure moving right across western New York here and eventually up into the Adirondacks here. So we got a cold front here, strong thunderstorms continuing overnight here into parts of the southeast. You see all that lines of convection and snow continuing here on the northwest side of the system, staying mostly out of New York and Pennsylvania, mostly into northern Ohio and eastern Michigan by this time. And you see 990 millibar low, that is going to be some pretty strong winds that'll be howling with this system all the way up through the Ohio Valley into the northeast. So this system's really going to be bombing by this point. This is overnight Thursday night into early morning hours of Friday. Look at that low pressure, really 985 millibars. So you know there's going to be a lot of strong winds with this system as it moves to the northeast. And there you have it. The next system moving in behind it is more of a clipper type system, although it is pretty moisture starved at this point. Take a look at that. So there you have it. So if we're going to take a look, the high resolution Euro, let's take a look at that pretty quickly here. Let me put this into motion, and there's that energy ejecting out of the southern plains, northern stream branch system, all coming together by later Wednesday here. You see that low pressure diving pretty far to the south here on the Euro. We start to get precipitation already picking up pretty quickly here across the central plains, parts of the Midwest. And look at this. By about the time early morning Thursday, early morning before the sunrise, thunderstorms exploding here across Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, parts of Arkansas here. So we're going to be looking at some strong thunderstorms developing. And as we head throughout the day, look at this. This is a little bit, just a tad bit to the south than the GFS is by about the time of sunrise on Thursday. So there you have it. Look at that. We got that big cold high to the north. It is positioned a bit further south than it is on the GFS. And we put this into motion. Look at those strong thunderstorms. We're going to be having thunderstorms with damaging wind, large hail, isolated tornadoes, a possibility here. So you're going to want to stay tuned to this because there's going to be a lot of watches and warnings with this system. And then on the northwest side, look at that heavy snow band, continuing bands of heavy snow setting up on the northwest side. And look at this, 998 millibars. So you know there's going to be, even outside of thunderstorms here, there's going to be a lot of wind to contend with this system as it moves to the northeast. And as you see this, look at this. Heavy mixed precipitation across north central part in northwestern Ohio, and then heavy snow just on the northwest fringe of that. So Buffalo, you're really not ending up with any much significant snow out of this. But as the cold front moves through during the early morning hours of Friday. Strong thunderstorms still continuing here across parts of the southeast, but look at this heavy snow kind of trailing in behind it, and we'll see some of this change like Binghamton area over towards Jamestown, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Syracuse, St. Lawrence Valley. We'll start to see some of this rain change over to heavy wet snow on Friday morning as this system pulls out to the northeast, and look at that line of thunderstorms off the east coast here. All right, I wanted to show you this. This is a very important aspect of the storm. The storm is going to have a big wind field with it. These are gusts indicated here, 10-meter gusts here on the GFS. So starting off with later Tuesday into Wednesday, you see how we start to get some big old gusty winds. Now, these, keep in mind, these are just above the surface, so not all of this will get mixed down, but you do have a good idea of what could be here. So we do have quite an expanse of wind field here across the system, and then this is heading on into the early morning hours of Wednesday, so we really start to pick up some wind gusts. That's why you have a lot of wind advisories and high wind warnings into effect, because we're going to see widespread gusts 25 to 35 miles per hour with higher gusts beyond 45 here. You got a big expanse here, Chicago over to Detroit, 40 to 45 mile per hour gusts here up into parts of Buffalo, 51 here because you're getting that funneling effect here off of Lake Erie. And look at this, a big expansion of 20 to 30 mile per hour gusts here in the red. We put this into motion later Wednesday. We start to get, as that low pressure intensifies here to the north, you start to get that intensifying wind field, and we'll start to consolidate this here on Thursday. Take a look at this. Thursday, we continue the southwesterly winds in excess of 10, 20, 30, 40 miles per hour here, and then we start to get a more robust. As this low pressure, the northern stream low pressure kicks off to the northeast here, this is where we're going to have a wind field. And initially, this is going to be in the form of severe weather, the middle of the day on middle afternoon on Thursday. See these wind gusts 62, 64 miles per hour, 58. Now these could be outside of thunderstorms too. This is going to be general gusts. So you can imagine what some of these thunderstorms, the wind field they'll have to tap in here. Now these are gusts behind, so even in the snow area here, 41, 46 miles an hour, these could be blizzard-like conditions here. Even if you only see like 4, 5, 6, 7 inches of snow, you could get blizzard kind of conditions out of this storm. And look at this, as it moves to the northeast, this is towards after sunset on Thursday here. Take a look at this. Wind gusts upwards of 75 miles per hour in eastern parts of Kentucky. Up here, 53 miles per hour in Pittsburgh, approaching 48 here up to Erie, Pennsylvania. Binghamton, New York, right around 44, 45 around Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, and 44 in New York City. So we start to increase the wind field overnight. Take a look at this. Let's actually zoom in here into the northeast, and we'll take a look at some of those wind gusts. So we put this into motion. Let's approach this. There we go. So we're heading into the Ohio Valley. This is after sunset. And if we take a look at this, you can see where the cold front is here. It's pretty obvious. And some of these stronger gusts are going to be really kicking in as you're sleeping in the early morning hours of Friday morning. Look at this, 55 mile per hour wind gusts around Binghamton, Syracuse, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. These are getting pretty high here. And the higher terrain, that's where you'll see the highest gusts. And there's the sharp cold front. This is around 6Z on Friday morning, so really early Friday morning. These are pretty intense gusts. If these do verify, there's going to be some problems here across the northeast. And we finally kick those gusts out, finally, as you're trying to get to work here west of Interstate 81. But we'll still be dealing with them in some fashion here along coastal sections of New England before finally the weekend it gets quieter. All right, so taking a look at severe weather, we're going to start off with the NAM 3 kilometer. Basically, at this point, it's simulated radar. It's not as accurate going out beyond 40 hours here, which is actually what we're going to attempt to do. But let's take a look at it. It gives us a good idea. Thursday morning, the early morning hours, we start to get that low pressure across the panhandle of Texas here. That's kind of in the same area as the GFS and the Euro. We start to get that line forming right around north central Texas, Dallas-Fort Worth area. And then we start to blossom that as it heads to the east here. You can see the lines start to line up, and even some individual cellular type storms ahead of it here as this moves to the northeast. This is entering the afternoon hours of Thursday. You start to get these linear type storms with these individual supercell type storms exploding out ahead of this main line here. And as we put this into motion, actually, let's take a look. We'll go into the Mississippi and Ohio River valleys here. So we put this into motion. Take a look at this. We spin this towards sunset, and we can get to about here. This is where things really start to explode. This is about after sunset, just after sunset here across the Mississippi River and Ohio River Valley. Let's back that up a little bit. You see these linear fashion here, and these individual supercells really start to form. They start to become more jagged here. We start to get that southwest to northeast flow. So a lot of these will be coming very strong to severe isolated tornadoes, especially down in here, parts of Tennessee, Mississippi, and Alabama here. So this is where we're going to really watch this time frame as the cold front really drags through here. The low is intensifying. You see the mixed precipitation up here to the north. Snow, heavy snow on the back side of it from Chicago down here into parts of Missouri. So it's interesting. The NAM seems to be more on point with the GFS than anything here. And rain, that's why I think that heavy freezing rain line up here in parts of northern Ohio just isn't. I don't think that's going to hold. That there would initially be more sleet, and then over to rain, and then back to sleet, and then snow. And here we go, Derek Rensselaer from Lebanon County, Pennsylvania, in the Harrisburg area this time. I think I forgot to show these back on January 27th of this year, so thank you for bringing that to my attention there, Derek. Look at this beautiful ice here in the Susquehanna River. Look at that. Panning out across the Susquehanna as far as the eye can see. Look at all that ice piled up. Look at that. Nice jagged edges. Very deadly, though. You don't want to get too close to this sort of ice, but this was back in January when we had all of that frigid cold temperatures just building up the ice along the river basin. You can see it going under the bridge there as well. Nice captures there, zooming in on that beautiful ice. You can see how even the logs, some trees were getting stuck and caught up in this. So look at that. So yeah, this is becoming very much an occurrence on the Susquehanna River in Harrisburg and up and down the Susquehanna River for that matter. Nice captures there, Derek. And here we go, Lucas from Linden, Texas. Take a look at the nice, beautiful time lapse of the starry skies around the North Star. Let's put this into motion here. Take a look at that North Star right in the center here, and take a look at that nice capture. Look at that. That is beautiful, Lucas. Nice captures there right around the North Star as these stars were circling right around. Zooming in nicely here. Look at that. Nice captures. Perfect. Look how symmetrical that is, too. They always said that about the night sky. Look at that. Beautiful captures there, Lucas, as always. Thank you. All right, here we go. Wednesday, we're going to start off with the northeast. We got a warm front pushing in from the west here. So, yes, we're looking much warmer across the northeast, heading towards 50 in New York City, 44 in Binghamton. And look at this. The southwest winds will be on the increase. We'll see a few late-day showers across the lake plains of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario come mainly after 4 p.m. But for the most part, you'll get a nice dry day. One last dry day before Thursday. That front, here's that front moving in from the west area of low pressure. There'll be several areas of waves of low pressure moving up along this front. But behind it, that's where we'll start to see rain mixing with sleet, snow, freezing rain, and everything behind it. So Toronto, you might have an early high near 45, and that'll tumble. But for the most part of during the day, we're going to be seeing highs breaking out well above average. We're pushing near 60 here into the southern tier of New York, 61 in Pittsburgh, 62 in Harrisburg, 61 in New York City, 68 here in D.C., and 64 in Atlantic City. And we have 50s all the way up here into parts of Maine. So initially, even here in northern New England, it will be a rain event, transitioning probably more to a snow event later on Thursday night and here towards the west as well. So lots of heavy rain to be had here. I don't think we'll see any severe thunderstorms. We might see a few rumbles of thunder, but the big story is going to be the wind. Howling winds out of the southwest, 25 to 40 miles per hour with gusts up to 50 plus, especially across the higher elevations. Heading on into Friday, cold front moves to the southeast here, whips to the southeast, and look at this. This is mostly in the morning back here, so we'll have a slushy inch or two accumulation, especially from Binghamton to Albany and Burlington on westward here. Maybe some lake enhanced here off of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, but maximum we're looking at 2 to 4 inches near the lakes, and maybe 1 to 3 inches here in the higher elevations from Binghamton on up northwest to Albany into northern parts of New England. But with those temperatures the way they were the day before, definitely not looking at any major heavy accumulations here. And look at this, along the coastline you'll have early highs in the 50s with morning, this is mostly morning rain. And then look at this, Saturday we clear things out. We do have the next system coming in here. It's going to be a weak Alberta style clipper, as I showed you on the models. We will have some bursts of maybe some snow squalls here. We're not looking at major accumulations, probably 1 to 3 inches locally, higher amounts to 4 inches in some of these darker blue areas. We will have morning highs here in western New York tumbling throughout the day, but look at this. We start to warm it up here pretty quickly along the Susquehanna River on eastward to the coastline here. So let's get into the southeast here. We're starting off with your Wednesday. Look at this. This stalled out frontal boundary is going to be the focal point. It's going to feed in that tropical moisture from the southeast. There's that front to the north. And this is in northeast Texas, northwestern part of Louisiana, into Arkansas, just west of the Mississippi River on Wednesday. This is where I think you could see slight to enhanced risk, especially in this orange zone here, heading towards Linden, Texas here. We could see some damaging wind, large hail, isolated tornadoes possible. So stay tuned into especially Wednesday afternoon and evening here, especially the later in the day that it is. So we have a lot of dynamics at work here, and look at these temperatures heading into the 70s. So heading on to Thursday, take a look at this. We have that front moving in from the west. We got a lot of dynamics. We have that stalled out front starting to move to the northeast as a warm front. And this point right here, this is where we want to watch this orange zone. This is where I think we could have an enhanced risk. Parts of Louisiana and just north of New Orleans here. You're still in the slight New Orleans, so don't put your guard down. Damaging wind, large hail, isolated tornadoes. But heading on, especially later in the day, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Birmingham area, we could be looking at quite a widespread damaging wind event, large hail, and some isolated tornadoes. So you're going to want to stay tuned to this and look at this. As this heads on into the evening, into Thursday night, even a large area here heading on into Atlanta, just west of Raleigh, and most of the southern Appalachians here. You're going to want to watch for thunderstorms with damaging straight line wind. Is going to be a major problem here. And we head into Friday. We whip that front to the southeast here. Temperatures will take a tumble behind it, but we have one more day of potential severe here in the Florida Peninsula this time. 82 in Tampa, 86 in Miami. The main threat will be damaging wind, large hail, and isolated tornado threat continuing, but that will be dwindling up here as this front moves to the southeast. And Saturday, we clear, just almost cleared South Florida, 83. Miami still the warm spot, but look at this. 60 in New Orleans, 66 in Houston, and 60 in Panama City. And we hold on to some 50s here behind it, so not looking too bad. All right, my extended outlook for my hometown viewers, Binghamton to Scranton's upper Susquehanna region of upstate New York and northeast Pennsylvania, and all points in between along the upper Susquehanna River Basin. Take a look at this from Wednesday all the way through Sunday. We start off very cold on Wednesday morning, but look at that. We rapidly warm it up to 44 degrees, windy, winds gusting out of the southwest at 25 to 30 miles per hour at times. That continues on into Wednesday night, where it'll be a very warm night, 40 degrees for your low, and 58 for your high on Thursday as that warm front pushes in with rain and wind, maybe up to a half to 3/4 of an inch of rain. That will start to change and mix with and change to snow overnight Thursday night into Friday, where we could have a slushy inch or two, especially on the grassy surfaces. Only heading up towards 32 on Friday, but look at this. We bounce back on Saturday and Sunday. Sunny skies, 44 by Sunday. As always, I want to thank you for joining me for this edition of Weather Eastern, and don't forget, Facebook at MediaMark, Weather Northeastern. Also on Twitter, it's Weather Eastern. So just Weather Eastern on Twitter at Weather Eastern. MediaMark.com, WeatherNortheastern.com. And as always, thank you for joining me. Subscribe if you haven't to the channel. Hit the bell button and question or comment down below. There is a link to my rest of my winter weather outlook if you want to look at that as well, if you haven't looked at that already.